I'm Sharon Betters, and this is the Daily Treasure podcast produced by Mark Inc. Ministries. I'm so glad that you've joined us for this series, Treasures Along the Way. Some of these are pretty personal for me, and today is one of those. It's called Count for Me, Dad. Today's treasure is from Psalm 34:18. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. Chuck and I joined the autumn ritual of cheering on our 20 grandchildren as they ran up and down the soccer fields, each one displaying their unique personalities in the way they chased the soccer ball and interacted with teammates. Our son-in-law coached from the sidelines with these words to his 5-year-old twins. "This is the one place you don't have to share. You get to keep the ball all to yourself. If someone tries to take it away from you, don't stand back and say, 'Okay, you can have it.'" He laughed, looked at us, and asked, "How do you teach sweet little ones that they must be selfish on the field?" We switched fields to watch 8-year-old Benjamin. Benjamin resembled his Uncle Mark, especially his long-lashed blue eyes. The resemblance didn't stop there, though. Benjamin's job as goalie reminded me of Mark's goaltending career. Cheering on the outside, I privately pulled up the family videos archived in my heart. I smiled at the unforgettable scenes of our little guys, Daniel and Mark, running the beehive play, the one where every child on the soccer field hovers around the soccer ball. Chuck and me yelling encouragement from the sidelines. I quickly moved on to vignettes of Mark's growing sports prowess. Mark was good at every sport he tried, but sometimes his mind played tricks on his natural ability. Mark's Little League coaches depended on his big bat for home runs based on the first few games of hitting home runs. But Mark was just a little boy. Once he felt that pressure, instead of base hits and home runs, strikeouts reigned. As an athlete himself, Chuck knew the only thing standing between his son and good solid hits was a mental block. The mental video continues to run, and there in my mind I see Chuck standing behind the backstop at home plate. He quietly talks Mark through each time at bat, giving calm, step-by-step reminders of how to do what Mark already knows how to do. I hold my breath with each swing and cheer wildly when Mark gets on base or hits a home run. Mark's smile while he runs the bases says everything. Such precious memories. But then there's that big foot. Mark was known in his soccer league as a great goalie. He had what teammates called a big foot. He could kick a soccer ball halfway down the field, and he was only 12. So when he took up flag football, his coach assigned him the position of the kicker. Everyone anticipated winning the season because of Mark's extraordinary ability to kick the ball accurately and far. Much to everyone's dismay, Mark froze up toward the end of the season. The pressure to perform was too much, and once again, a mental block stood between him and victory. At Mark's request, Chuck coached him every evening in the backyard, examining his performance and then patiently counting out his steps. Left, right, left, kick. Every time Mark listened, the ball soared, and there was that big grin again, turning his anxious face into one of relief, confidence, and hope. The football season ended with championship games preceded by a kicking contest. Mark's big foot made him the natural choice to represent his team. As we stood on the sidelines, we recognized the fear and watched his body freeze. What to do? We knew he could not kick the ball successfully without his dad's help, but we didn't want to embarrass him by calling out the necessary encouragement he needed. Mark practiced a few runs toward the ball, each time stopping short. He glanced our way, but in his typical reticent manner, he did not ask for help. How could a 12-year-old boy embarrass himself by asking Daddy for help? Mark's first 2 attempts in the contest were disappointing. His teammates and coaches held their breath as Mark set up for his 3rd run at the ball. I prayed my mommy prayer. Lord, please energize that big foot. Did not care if he won. I just wanted him to do what he was able. Without looking at his father, eyes fixed straight ahead, Mark quietly spoke. "Dad, count for me." Without a second's hesitation, Chuck called out the countdown. Left foot, right foot, left foot, kick, keeping time with Mark's run toward the ball. Boom! The football soared into the air. There was that joyful smile again, and the fans yelled as his teammates rushed toward our son, knowing he had just won the kicking contest. Friends, sometimes we need a little help from our daddy, actually all the time. But he knows it's best to wait until we know our need and we're ready to receive assistance. That morning, Mark taught me the value of humility, of admitting to the one who is always ready to count for me, to whisper step-by-step instructions in my ear, and to cheer me on to victory that is sure to come when I listen to him. I'm so glad Mark asked his daddy to count for him. And oh, Father, we pray that we would learn from this, that we would not hesitate, we would not let our pride get in the way of asking you for help. You are always there, ready. You have promised that your presence will never be broken for the child of God. So, Father, today, count for us. Hey friends, I'm Sharon Betters, and we are in our 4th week of Treasures Along the Way, and it's our prayer that the treasures that we are sharing with you are reminding you of the treasures that God has sent you, or maybe you're just realizing that He has been sending you treasures all along your journey, and now you are realizing that they were just for you, uniquely prepared just for you. Perhaps no one else would recognize them as treasures, but you do now. And I pray that you're recording those treasures and that they will be a treasure to you when you need extra encouragement to remind you that He is the Lord your God and He calls you by name when you know Jesus. One of the ways that we like to send treasures is through our Help and Hope podcast. And sometimes it's just a word. You could have a hemorrhaging heart and you hear someone else's story and you realize you're not alone, that the Lord is keeping His promise of His presence, and that others have experienced similar dark places and they have a story of God's faithfulness. And that's our Help and Hope podcast this week. Skip Shainholz is a former CEO, and he took on the responsibility of a failing business. Not just any business, but a corporation that was inches from being closed forever. Chuck L. Betters, our son, talks with Skip about this experience and how God was preparing him for this really a frightening time, a risk-taking time, through the other experiences in his life, experiences such as being fired and losing his job more than once. Skip readily admits his faith in Jesus guided every aspect of this daunting journey of leading WSFS Financial Corporation, a local bank, from the brink of failure to being the leading independent bank serving the greater Philadelphia and Delaware region with a local presence and national subsidiaries. This was a challenging personal journey that, as I said earlier, he was prepared for by the journey before he received this assignment. Skip also chronicles his journey in his book, From Failing to Phenomenal. And in this conversation, he discusses some of the behind-the-scenes events in his nail-biting battle, but also biblical principles of business that will help equip you to lead your own company or family in a way that glorifies God. So I hope that you will check out this conversation that Chuck had with Skip. You won't regret it. It's quite a story, and I know that it will encourage you, as well as encourage, as I said, business owners in their own journey, maybe to save a company, or maybe just to lead a company with the glory of God as its purpose. I'm Sharon Betters. Thanks so much for joining us. Make sure you go to helpandhopenow.org. That's helpandhopenow.org. And look for this conversation with Skip Shainholz called Life Lessons from a CEO. That's Life Lessons from a CEO. Thanks so much for joining us, and I look forward to being with you tomorrow.